Welcome back, everyone, to Occult Archives, the show where we delve into history's most mysterious and often feared books.
From mystical grimoires to ancient religious texts.
We uncover the secrets hidden within their pages.
Secrets too dangerous for some.
I'm your host.
And I'm the expert.
And today, we're cracking open a book that explores the very essence of human potential.
A topic shrouded in mystery and speculation.
Episode 147, The Path of Power, Masters, and the Inner Flame of Occultism.
We'll be diving deep into Gottfried de Purucker's Masters and the Path of Occultism.
Yeah, this book tackles the question of whether there are individuals out there who have achieved extraordinary wisdom, abilities.
Powers beyond what we typically experience.
The kind of people often whispered about in legends and myths.
De Purucker doesn't shy away from this.
He delves right into the concept of masters.
Highly evolved beings.
And the esoteric principles of occultism that underpin their path.
So think of this episode as your shortcut to understanding these complex ideas.
Without having to wade through dense philosophical texts.
Exactly. We've distilled the key concepts for you.
So let's get started.
Let's.
All right, first and foremost, who are these masters that de Purucker talks about?
Well, he describes them as evolved human beings.
Okay, so not gods or supernatural entities?
No, they're still human.
But they've reached a much higher stage of evolution.
Yes, they're further along the path that all of humanity is traveling.
He calls them the elder brothers of the human race.
And he emphasizes that they've achieved this through their own efforts.
Not by some divine intervention.
No, through inward striving, through a burning desire for knowledge, for spiritual understanding.
Through a dedication to self-development, essentially.
Yes, they've cultivated the potential, the inner God that exists within all of us.
He mentions some familiar figures like Gautama, the Buddha.
Jesus the Avatar as well.
Those are prime examples, right?
Absolutely. Those are individuals who demonstrated an exceptional level of spiritual maturity.
And their lives, their teachings, had a profound impact on humanity. These masters, they aren't just scattered individuals, are they?
No, they form a kind of spiritual brotherhood.
Sages and seers working together.
The Theosophical Mahatmas, he calls them.
That sounds pretty impressive.
It's a collective of highly realized individuals who share a common understanding of the universe.
And work towards a common goal.
They're actively influencing the world, he says.
You're the better.
Yes, promoting brotherhood, kindness, peace, all those positive qualities.
And they work through agents, advanced pupils who spread their teachings.
Exactly.
Now, these teachings, this wisdom, it's not something new, is it?
No, it's ancient.
De Purucker points to historical figures from various cultures. Buddha, of course.
Sankaracharya in India.
Pythagoras, Plato.
Even Lao Tse, Confucius.
Zoroaster, Quetzalcoatl, Manco Capac.
It's a timeless wisdom.
Passed down through generations.
Rearticulated in different forms.
And the masters are the guardians of this wisdom.
Working in harmony with the laws of nature.
Okay, so we have a sense of who these masters are.
But how do they actually obtain this extraordinary wisdom?
Right. It's not like they're attending some esoteric university.
It's a process of deep inner exploration.
Penetrating beyond the surface of things.
Into the very roots of being.
De Purucker talks about sending one's consciousness into the womb of being.
It's a shift in perception.
A profound shift.
Accessing a deeper level of reality.
And he mentions these indelible records of the astral light.
A universal memory field.
Like a cosmic library.
Containing the record of all evolution.
Every event that's ever occurred.
The masters can access these records.
And interpret them.
To gain a deeper understanding of the past, the present, even the future.
He also talks about initiations.
These are trials, tests.
Which allow the masters to explore other realms of being.
To experience truth directly.
It's a process of transformation.
Of accelerating one's spiritual evolution.
And from this accumulated wisdom, from these direct experiences, comes theosophy.
The formulated system of this natural religion philosophy science.
Derived from the insights of these sages and seers.
So theosophy is an attempt to explain the universe.
To reveal its underlying unity and order.
And he makes it clear. The physical world we see is just one aspect of reality.
There are invisible worlds.
Guided by spiritual beings.
So what are some of the key teachings of these masters?
And what does this path of occultism actually entail?
Yeah, what does it mean for us?
Well, de Purucker emphasizes that the path is within oneself.
Not in some external authority or institution.
It's about awakening to the God within.
Tapping into our inherent potential.
Exactly. It's about self-conquest, self-discipline, self-study.
Understanding ourselves, evolving ourselves.
He says we need to forget the self in order that ye may find the self.
Is he talking about the difference between our ego and our higher self?
Yes, the lower self, the ego, is limited.
But the higher self is connected to something much greater.
It's a part of us that transcends individuality.
And he says these inner worlds, these invisible realms, are accessible to us.
Through initiation.
Through a process of inner transformation. And where does this evolutionary journey ultimately lead?
He describes a progression from unconscious God sparks to fully self-conscious gods.
Through countless lifetimes.
Across various planes of existence.
It's a long process.
But it ultimately leads to the realization of our divine nature.
He talks about the spiritual unity of all beings.
This spark of the central fire that connects us all.
Which implies that ethics, morality, stem from this shared connection.
We're all part of one great organism.
And he mentions that there's no immortally unchangeable soul.
That the soul itself evolves and changes.
That goes against some traditional beliefs.
It does, but it emphasizes that growth is inherent in all things.
So we're not meant to stay the same.
No, we're meant to evolve.
To shed old limitations and embrace new possibilities.
And he says the heart of the universe is harmony.
Order, law, love, and peace.
Disorder arises from the imperfections of evolving beings.
That makes sense.
He even talks about the music of the spheres.
The idea that sound accompanies growth, evolution.
That every process creates a vibration.
A symphony of creation, essentially.
Exactly. Now, he also discusses the secret doctrine of the ages.
This hidden wisdom that's been passed down through the ages.
He says that human beings are the handiwork and vehicles of cosmic and spiritual beings.
With our inner God as the core of our being.
And he suggests there's one fundamental truth underlying the universe.
Taught by all the great sages.
Hidden in plain sight.
And he mentions initiation schools.
Places where this wisdom is preserved and transmitted.
They still exist.
He suggests they do.
But they're not easy to find.
And they're only open to those who are truly prepared.
Who possess certain qualities.
Kindness, a thirst for truth, courage.
He talks about the lost word.
Which symbolizes this entire system of wisdom.
And he emphasizes the role of teachers.
Guides who can help us unlock the truth within ourselves.
He mentions the great association of masters.
Sending envoys to reintroduce this ancient wisdom to humanity.
Like H.P. Blavatsky.
Yes. And genuine teachers base their teachings on the facts of being.
Not on speculation or personal beliefs.
Now, what about occultism itself?
How does de Purucker define that?
He calls it the science of causal and often invisible things.
Understanding the hidden laws of nature.
True occultists have undergone initiation.
They have direct experience of these deeper realities.
It's not about dabbling in the supernatural,
but about understanding the underlying principles of existence.
He says the inner divinity is the key to all wisdom, knowledge, love, and power.
We need to know thyself, as the ancient saying goes.
Our spiritual self is intimately connected to the universe.
And he distinguishes between genuine occultists and pseudo-occultists.
Those who study these things intellectually but don't actually practice them.
They might be misguided, even deceptive.
But true occultists follow a path of self-transformation.
With the guidance of a qualified teacher.
It's a journey of selflessness, of expanding beyond the ego.
Of cultivating spiritual and intellectual freedom.
Self-control is paramount.
And using any powers developed for the benefit of others.
He also talks about the mystery schools and initiation.
Those ancient institutions that preserved esoteric knowledge.
He says theosophy is a modern expression of their teachings.
The wisdom religion of antiquity.
These schools use rituals and symbols to convey their teachings.
And they emphasize direct, personal instruction.
He mentions that the deeper teachings were withdrawn with the rise of Christianity.
Because the intellectual climate became less receptive to these ideas.
And initiation itself is portrayed as a process of death and rebirth.
The death of the old self.
The emergence of the inner God.
He talks about the Christ Son, the Son Christ.
The Christ light that resides within each of us.
He gives examples of these mystery schools.
The Mithraic mysteries, the Eleusinian mysteries.
But they eventually declined.
Because those in charge lost their way.
He contrasts natural evolution with the accelerated path of initiation.
Initiation is a conscious effort to speed up one's spiritual development.
And he says the preparation for initiation is intense.
It involves self-forgetfulness, detachment from desires.
The cultivation of noble thoughts.
It's a complete inner transformation.
But he says that by looking within, we can understand the mysteries of nature.
And by cultivating kindness, love, forgiveness, empathy, we gain self-understanding.
And ultimately, a deeper understanding of the universe.
He calls the human being a great mystery,
A child of eternity and incarnate God.
capable of rising again.
He outlines 2 paths after learning all that Earth can teach.
Onward to nirvana.
Or returning as a Buddha of compassion to help humanity.
The path of compassion being the more divine choice.
And the aim of initiation is to refine our faculties.
To make them receptive to truth.
To become one with our inner God.
To expand our consciousness.
He even suggests the Great Pyramid of Cheops might have been a temple of initiation,
Symbolizing this transformation.
with the initiation chambers representing a symbolic death and resurrection,
The initiate's consciousness journeys through the solar system.
and ultimately emerges as a master of light.
A guide for others.
Finally, he talks about the sacred seasons.
Their connection to the initiatory cycle.
The solstices and equinoxes marking key points in this cycle.
The birth initiation at the winter solstice.
The Easter or resurrection initiation at the spring equinox.
Trials around the summer solstice.
And the passage into great peace at the autumnal equinox.
But many masters choose to stay and help humanity.
He also discusses the esoteric meaning of Easter,
Its pre-Christian origins.
celebrating the forces of spring.
The symbolic breaking free from the limitations of the lower self.
And he touches upon the moon's significance in ancient traditions.
Its powerful influence during certain phases.
He reiterates that initiations continue today.
Under the guidance of wise sages.
And he emphasizes the interconnectedness of all things.
The Hermetic principle. As above, so below.
Even the tradition of giving eggs at Easter has a deeper meaning, he says.
It represents the hope for spiritual awakening.
So, in essence, de Purucker is pointing towards an inner path.
To beauty, peace, strength.
To the very heart of the universe.
And the path of occultism is an ongoing journey.
Where theory becomes practice.
Exactly.
So, to sum up, the masters that de Purucker describes are not mythical beings.
They're highly evolved human beings.
Who have unlocked their potential through dedicated inner work and initiation.
Their existence shows us what's possible.
It highlights the incredible potential within each of us.
And the path to that potential lies within.
It's about self-reflection, ethical conduct.
A persistent search for truth.
We hope this deep dive has given you a lot to think about.
And perhaps inspired you to explore your own inner flame.
That spark of divinity that resides within each of us.
And that brings us to our final thought for you. If the potential for mastery, for what de Purucker calls godhood, truly exists within every individual, what small step can you take today to embark on your own journey of inner exploration?
What can you do to begin unfolding your own inherent spiritual grandeur? Until next time, keep seeking, keep exploring,
And keep the flame burning.
Farewell.
Farewell.